To the biggest names in the league.
Matthew Stafford. How are you, Matthew?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Plus, daily fantasy and gambling insight.
Ryan Tannehill, his numbers are very close to Mahomes-esque.
If it's happening in the NFL, hear it here. It all starts with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max and continues all day right here on ESPN Radio.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, streaming live at wingam.com, coming at you live on 1410 WING, the old school way, of course, on the the old radio. Live on Facebook, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Like, subscribe, follow along, and then ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Plenty of ways to interact with the show. Kev, happy Friday.
What up, dog?
Lots to dive into here today. I want to dive into something, a conversation I had with Keith Byers earlier in the week. I don't know if you know this or not, but Keith Byers, this coming up season, College Football Hall of Fame, everyone knows who Keith Byers is. He was asked, he is now an official voter for the college football top 25.
Okay.
So, you know, how when we give our top 25, you give your top 25, technically, outside of just, our egos, it means nothing.
Right.
And with all due respect to Byers and those who do have those top 25 votes, technically those mean nothing as well. And I could say that because Byers has been saying that those polls mean nothing. But I wonder if he thinks there's something now because he has a vote. I don't know. But there was a question that I had asked him during his show earlier in the week that his answer kind of caught me by surprise because I don't think that we really comprehend what goes into being a voter for these top 25 polls. What goes into, is there a criteria? And the conversation stemmed from Byers being critical of the USA Today coaches poll, the top 25. And of course, there's a lot of questionable teams in there and a lot of noticeable teams not in there. How about no Penn State? How about no Iowa, no Purdue, which, on most seasons you could say no Iowa, who was just in the Big Ten title game last year, okay, it's Iowa. I mean, it's not like you expect to see Iowa there. Purdue, you don't expect to see them there, but Purdue has some dudes this upcoming season. They're not in the top 25. And me and you had talked about this earlier in the week, so it's not a repeat segment, but it's something I hadn't really thought about, so I talked with Byers about it. He was critical. He's like, how is there only 4 Big Ten teams in the top 25? He goes, every year, we talk about the best conference being the SEC, but every year the Big Ten has more top 25 teams than anyone else. So it's like, at the end of the day, why do we start the season start the season with so few just to end the season with so many? It's like, how many times in a row do all these top 25 Big Ten teams need to be in the rankings before people start realizing that, okay, well, maybe they it's not like they are overrated or underrated coming into the season, or maybe they are. I don't know. Very weird. But Kev, if me and you were to get an official top 25 vote where our vote mattered, I would think that when they sent you that email or they gave you that phone call, that you'd get a packet of information about what it means to be a top 25 voter. And maybe, I don't know, a criteria. Here's the conversation I had with Keith Byers earlier in the week about this exact same thing. And it started with him talking about why he has, if he was to give his vote for the top 25, he would have Iowa in there. And there's a response that he gives me that kind of caught me by surprise when it comes to the steps involved to being a top 25 voter.
Do you think does Iowa deserve to be in my preseason poll? Reason why I have them in there, I'll tell you that real quick. They just played in the Big Ten championship game. That means they was at least one of the top 20 teams in the country. 5 Power 5 schools all had, 2 teams that play in their conference championship. So that's 10 right there.
So question, so you're a voter. Is there a criteria on the voting? Do they tell you, hey, your vote needs to be based on the team's recruiting rankings coming in, the team's record from last year? So here's why I have a problem with the voting or with the preseason polls is because and I like that you did that. You told me your teams, and then you explained why you picked those teams. And everyone that votes on their teams, they have their reasons for why. But I think the problem with it is that there is no criteria. That's right. There's no criteria.
Right.
I don't know why that caught me by surprise. I thought that, if you're a top 25 voter, that there should be, and maybe there is but he said, no, there's no parameters. There's no criteria for, okay, to be a top 25 voter, these are the bullet points that you're looking for. You need to use these bullet points to determine your top 25. It's just very vague. And the problem is we could say these polls don't matter, and theoretically they don't. I think they do to a certain extent, because I think to be in the conversation for the first college football playoff ranking, a lot of that is being predicated off what the original top 25 polls are telling the committee to start looking at. Not that they're that lazy, but you know what I mean? It doesn't hurt. I just thought that there would be at least some set parameters, or at least some kind of, criteria involved. And there's not, because you have all of these voters and everyone coming to the table with different views on things, and nothing makes sense. It's one thing if X amount of, like this team over here got X amount of, number one votes. And then Texas, who was ranked like outside of the top 10, got a number one vote. And that just proves like there's no criteria. This just proves that these top 25 lists mean nothing. And I think it's still really cool that Byers has that top 25 vote. But that's what, but what I did like about what Byers did is, hey, I want Iowa to be, I'm going to have Iowa in the top 25 when I release my poll. And here's why. And he released bullet points. But then if I was an official AP voter or a top 25 voter, I maybe wouldn't have them in there, because I would use all these other random bullet points as to why they wouldn't be in there. And then I think I'm right, and I think he's wrong, and he thinks he's right, and I think I'm wrong, when really no one's right, no one's wrong, because you're playing a game with no rules and there's really no set winner. It doesn't make any sense. Were you surprised to hear that there is no criteria for the top 25 votes? And this is not the USA. I mean, USA Today, I'm sure, has no criteria either, but for him being an official top 25 voter, there is no criteria. It just doesn't. It's just, hey, who are your top 25 teams? I'd put every team in the Big Ten if I'm him, and then just any team that's not the SEC. Why not? There's no criteria.
Yeah, this is dating back to kind of like the honor system, and they haven't changed up how they do this in centuries. It feels like it's like, hey, man, we expect you to vote on who you think is the best teams based off of the criteria that you believe in, that puts a team back there. Does, like, you put a lot of value in a returning quarterback? Do you put a ton of value in a recruiting class? Do you put a ton of value on what a team did last year? So is a team going to be dinged for not having X amount of returning starters and everything like that? Now that college football has become such big business, everybody's looking to say, like, well, why is it this way? Why is it that way? Why is it that way? Well, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it wasn't like that. It was, believe it or not, college football was almost like a niche sport. It was very regionalized, but college football isn't regionalized anymore. It is big business from coast to coast. People are talking about college football left and right. So it's kind of open-ended. And I don't have a problem with it being open-ended, because lots of votes are like that, even with the NFL. When we look at the MVP, we're like, all right, it's very open-ended. It's open to interpretation. It's so the same way with the Heisman Trophy. Heisman Trophy says it's the most outstanding player, but now the Heisman Trophy is morphed into, all right, basically the quarterback on the best teams in the country. Like, so like the year that Ndamukong Suh was at the award show, my personal opinion, I thought he should have won the Heisman that year. I thought he was the most outstanding player, but it's not about that anymore. It's about so much more than that. It's so much more that goes into it. And I don't think people look into nuance like that. It's almost basically rinse, repeat with the same teams that are in there every single year. And they start at a starting point, and then they kind of ding themselves down and everything like that. I think it's important for teams like outside of the Power Five to be ranked in the top 25, to have the eyeballs on them to start the season out. Because if you're not starting the season out with people actually talking about you, it's going to be hard to build your way up. So let's just say randomly, I don't know, Miami of Ohio, they're not ranked in the top 25, but like, I believe they play an SEC team in a non-conference schedule this year. So say they go to the SEC school and beat that SEC school, and they run the table in the MAC. They were out of sight, out of mind in August, and they weren't top of mind until October, September. They're so far back of people's minds, they're not going to jump them all the way to the top 5 or top 4 to jump in there. So I still think it serves a purpose. And I do think that it's okay for people to have their own thought process about how they believe a top 25 team should rank.
And I get that. I was shocked that there's not one little time, like, not, it's your top 25 vote based on this criteria. And it could be very simplified criteria. And I guess I see what you're saying, like MVP votes and stuff, but that's also you can make a lot of those same arguments. But the difference is there's not many MVP voters out there that publicly come out and do interviews and talk about why they voted for X, Y, and Z. But with Byers kind of talk about his, and that's why I think it's unique on his show and him coming on with us from time to time, is he's going to give his top 25 every week. Like some put their top 25 out there. You can go see who voted for who, by the way. It's not like top secret, but he's going to release his official top 25 every week on his show here on 1410 Wing AM. But he's also going to walk you through why he has all 25 teams placed where they're at. And I find that interesting, but like every bullet point that he uses for why he places those teams there, the other 5 people that you find next on that list wouldn't use any one of his possibly, and he's not using any of theirs. And that's not saying he's right or wrong. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but I think it's a flawed system to not at least have anything in there. I mean, common sense would tell you to look at the players that were, that the team is missing from last year, whether it be going to the NFL, whether it be graduation, whether it just be transfer portal, and then also incorporating the recruiting classes of, like I said, from 2 years ago, as we are here in 2022. Start looking at how strong that recruiting class was back in 2020. Does that guarantee that class is going to be good? No, but it gives you an idea of, well, back in 2000, they had number 3 recruiting class. I mean, these dudes are a couple years in now, a couple off seasons in, full season in. They're ready to rock. They're ready to start contributing. I expect big things from this team this year. Some don't do that. Some are just like, well, it's Ole Miss, and they play, and they got that good transfer quarterback, and the rest will take care of itself. And they play in the SEC. That drives me crazy. I don't know. I'm one for a little bit more just organization as far as just a criteria is concerned. Not that it matters. My opinion doesn't matter. I'm not going to change anything by any means, but I was just taken back by as big a deal as these polls are. I know we like to say they don't mean anything, but they do.
They do.
And for them to mean something, to have no criteria to them whatsoever, and to have so much, the results of these matter to the point to which they do. I just think it's very weird that there's just no criteria in there whatsoever. I mean, I'm sure, you got to be careful that your reputation's on the line. I mean, if you come out and you have 25 non-Power 5 schools to make out your top 25, obviously you may not have that top 25 vote much longer. So there's that. But I'm sure that there's an undefined scope of which you can do your top 25 and not make a mockery of it, I guess.
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
And I mean, we always got to talk about this, the human element and people and their biases and everything like that. I mean, I remember the stories that used to come out about Spurrier. He always would rank Duke in his top 25, his preseason top 25, because that's this place where he got his first coaching job and everything like that. So he kind of did it as a, hey, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to give you guys a top 25 vote, that type of situation. We had the situation last year with the MVP vote in the NFL with Aaron Rodgers. The guy, one of the voters, said he didn't put him in his top 5 because he wasn't vaccinated and everything like that. Like, people got all types of reasons why they will or won't vote for certain teams or certain players to win certain awards or be in the top 25. So I don't necessarily believe that we can ever get rid of that, because if we want to talk about like the importance of having the human element in baseball with balls and strikes with the umps, and human element in refereeing, then we got to have a human element also in these voting for top 25 and for trophies and things of that nature. I'm cool with it because, we are super spoiled, being Ohio State fans, because we are in a situation where it really don't matter what nobody says, because if we win, we're in. And I always go back to that, because we here in Ohio, we're not Miami of Ohio fans. Majority of us aren't UC fans.
You and Miami of Ohio.
Majority of us aren't UC fans, where we gotta hope and wish and hope things break our way for us to get a seat at the table. Us being Ohio State fans, guess what? We handle our business. We'll have a seat at the table, and in some instances, we'll get that added bump because we're Ohio State. So, to be perfectly honest, I really don't worry about it, because I know Saturdays we handle our business, we'll be exactly where we want to be. Now, if we're talking about like the others, then that's a totally different story, because when I was coming up with my top 10, we were doing our top 10s and everything like that from last year, I was higher on Wake Forest than everybody else was. And they're like, well, they're Wake Forest, they stink. It's like, well, most of the time they do.
Killing you on the boards.
Most of the time they stink, but in this isolated year, playing pretty good football.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, here on a Friday. Ron Howard says Texas going by brand and putting Manning in the parentheses, of course. The brand of Texas is kind of building back up a little bit. They've always kind of relied on their reputation a little bit. And, it might be a little bit of a overhyped reputation, of course, but nonetheless, it does seem like Texas, the brand of Texas football, is kind of trending in the right direction. They got Quinn Ewers, they got Arch Manning coming in, and it's like once you have that big superstar quarterback, it just feels like everything else is falling into place. We'll see if that trajectory is true. Shaw writes and he says,
Hi, Shaw.
He says, preseason polls frustrate me immensely. The whole season is determined of these polls. It's very frustrating as the season moves along and teams being propped up because of teams being overrated at the beginning of the season and other teams not getting respect because they weren't getting love in the preseason. It's frustrating. A lot to unpack there. We'll pick up with a little bit of that on the other side. Reaction to the polls. Field of Dreams game last night. I don't know how many of you guys got a chance to catch that. I was a little negative heading in because I was more pouting about what wasn't on the field instead of focusing on what was the field. That made last night just another nostalgic event that baseball continues to, for once, win at something. Another great thing for baseball last night. Field of Dreams. Reds lose 4-2. But it was about everything except what was actually going on when the game was live. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. 518-1410, top 25 polls. Were you surprised as I am to find out there's no criteria? No criteria whatsoever. You get a top 25 vote, give us your top 25, and we all move on. No criteria whatsoever. I thought that was odd considering how much stock goes into these polls and how much weight that they carry. You say that they don't matter, but they matter more than you think. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 80. Tonight's going to be mostly clear, a low near 55, and tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high near 82. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Call It Power Washing. Introducing Call It Power Washing. Old man winter tough on your home? Call It for all your spring cleanup needs.
If you're looking to obtain a quality education at a low price, look no further than Clark State. With over 160 degrees and certificates available, Clark State has a path for you to reach your goals. Our tuition rates are one of the lowest in Ohio, so getting that degree is easier than ever without breaking the bank. For more information about Clark State, visit us at www.clarkstate.edu.
Would you like 2 paid shutdowns per year to spend with family? Harvest a new career at KTH. car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Friday. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash coming at you live on 1410 Wing AM and streaming live at wingam.com. We'll have the video stream fixed back up here in just a moment. NFL preseason continues tonight. Officially kicked off last night. Technically kicked off a week from last night with the Hall of Fame game, of course. But last night, the Giants and the Patriots. Giants win the preseason game 23-21. The Ravens come away over the Titans 23-10. Records mean nothing. Results mean nothing. But it was kind of cool last night getting a chance when watching the Titans to see, with their quarterback being Ryan Tannehill, and obviously he's not the quarterback of the future, but he's definitely a very solid quarterback to have for the time being, of course. Like I put Ryan Tannehill in that same category as Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo, and you can tier them how you like, but those are quarterbacks that if you have them on your roster, you're not in bad shape. Mitchell Trubisky, it's not a bad thing for them to be your starting quarterback. Does it mean that you have your quarterback of the future? No, but it is one of those things where like you're always sleeping with one eye open. Like you're sleeping, you're comfortable, but you always have that eye open because you're always looking for that quarterback of the future. And I think that teams like the Panthers, they may be satisfied with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback for the time being, but it doesn't mean that that's their guy long term. And maybe Baker breaks out this year. Who knows? Back to being healthy. We'll see what happens. But my point is it's interesting with the teams who have rosters or quarterbacks that aren't the elite level quarterbacks, but are just good enough to help you win games. They're not in a bad spot. The Steelers aren't in a bad spot with Mitchell Trubisky. If the Browns end up with Jimmy Garoppolo, they won't end up in a bad spot with Jimmy Garoppolo, though actually considering their circumstance will be very fortunate to end up with Jimmy Garoppolo. The Titans, obviously with Ryan Tannehill, they're not in a bad spot having Ryan Tannehill. Could he be more? Yes. But for those teams, especially teams like the Browns and Bengals who know how hard it is to find that guy. Look how long it took for the Bengals to find that guy in Joe Burrow. How many quarterbacks between Palmer and him? Not many, but they had Andy Dalton for a while that it was like kind of like the Titans. Well, we have a dude that can get you to the playoffs. We have a dude that can win you games, but we also have a dude that probably can't take you to the promised land.
The crazy thing about the Titans is they were the number one seed last year.
Yep.
And Derrick Henry was hurt majority of the season, and Ryan Tannehill throughout the regular season played some good football. It was just he was so bad in that playoff game versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Like he just crumbled. Like they got after him. They got after him. He got happy feet, and he started throwing it to the Cincinnati Bengals DBs, and they caught it. They caught 3 interceptions of his. Like, so kudos goes to Cincinnati Bengals front four for getting pressure and everything like that, and credit to the DBs for actually having hands like wide receivers. But like regular season wise, he played good football. He was just so bad that they had no other choice but to try to take a peek at somebody else at the quarterback position, because that type of stuff can obviously ruin careers, man. Like they were like 13-4 or something like that. They were real good during the regular season without Derrick Henry.
And again, a guy that's good enough to win you games in the regular season. I mean, it was the Titans, the Bengals weren't elite, but they were a playoff team. They were division winners with Andy Dalton. They were solid. It just really came down to the games that mattered. And then, of course, it was A.J. McCarron. If it wasn't for that crazy finish against your Steelers, technically, it wasn't Andy Dalton that would have gotten that playoff win. It would have been McCarron that would have gotten that playoff win, which would have honestly created a whole other set of storylines that would have just been like not really able to enjoy the win as much because, well, we got our first playoff win, but I mean, we did it with the backup quarterback, and now we're even more confused about who we are as a team. So whether the Bengals want to admit it or not, that loss almost was a mini blessing in disguise because, again, you would rather win, don't get me wrong, but winning with A.J. McCarron back in the day, beating the Steelers in that playoff game, Kev, I think that creates a whole other set of concerns and question marks for that organization than when they lost. Of course, that loss really just sent them in a tailspin. They never recovered from it until now.
Right.
And they're in a much better spot right now as we currently sit here today. But I bring all this up because the Titans have a very good quarterback situation in Tennessee. Is he right? Is he, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson? Is he Joe Burrow? No. Is he Justin Herbert? No. Is he elite? No. But he's definitely not a guy that the Titans ownership and management should be down upon, especially because this is a team that's going to keep winning, and they're not going to be in a position to go get an elite level quarterback anytime soon, at least out of the draft. But I don't know. I don't know how much stock you put into preseason. I know it's super low, and I'm not saying I put stock into preseason, but sometimes I don't go off of stats. I don't go off of, a performance, but I kind of go off a look. And last night, it was pretty cool watching the Titans. There was just something. It was a presence. It was the look. It was just the vibe of him out on the field. Malik Willis looked really good for the Tennessee Titans. He made some modern quarterback plays for the Tennessee Titans last night that don't get made if Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback. Malik Willis, he's bigger than I thought.
He's been in the gym.
He
must have been hanging out with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, when we saw Trey Lance come out onto the field for the first time last year in preseason, I was like, God, he has some work to do, right? Like there's some guys that, even I remember when why am I forgetting his name? The kid that came out, he was with, it don't matter. I forgot the Commanders quarterback. What's his name right now? He's hopped around from team to team. Wentz. He looked tiny coming out. Willis looks good. And I bring them up because these are guys coming from your smaller, non-traditional Power 5 schools. I don't know. He just made some plays last night that I'm going to be keeping an eye on him throughout the preseason. And it's going to be interesting because I think it's going to be tough for the Titans to replicate what they did last year. I don't think they're going to repeat as the number 1 seed in the regular season as AFC champs next year. It was impressive though. You're right, Kev. They did all that. I mean, they lost their top running back for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, They didn't miss a beat. Like that's not, I don't think that says anything good or bad about, about their top running back. But at the same time, it's like, it does show that, okay, that system is going to continue to keep them in position to win. So if that system is there and you can upgrade at quarterback, I don't know if Malik Willis is an upgrade at quarterback, but if they find themselves down in the division or flirting with the wild card, a flip to quarterback, or if they feel their season's getting away, I could see a switch to Malik Willis at some point. Got to see a couple more preseason games.
Right.
But you could tell he's been putting the work in. I thought he looked the part. I was pretty jacked. I'm not a Titans fan by any means, but I was pretty happy to see the way he looked last night. Just looks like an athlete, looks like a quarterback, and it looks like maybe a future star in the league. We'll see. It's a lot of overreaction I get from one preseason game, but I've watched stars in preseason that don't look like anything, and they end up being nothing too. So I don't know. I don't think I'm overdoing it, but I was a fan of his last night.
No, I saw some of the highlights. It was definitely some wild plays out there. Him getting outside the pocket. He threw a dime down the sideline and everything like that. Obviously, they also got Treylon Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas, to replace A.J. Brown, who they traded to Philadelphia and everything like that. So it's kind of like almost a revamp situation, but you still obviously have Derrick Henry, that defense, and a veteran quarterback. Is preseason game number 1. Number 2, he'll be getting some more reps. Number 2, he'll be out there a lot longer. I put all the ownership in game 2. Like, remember back in the day, it used to be like, all right, preseason game 3 is the real audition for the regular season, what you're going to really look like. Now it's game 2. So I'm anxious to check them out game 2, because that's when it'll get kind of real. It won't be kind of like vanilla defenses and everything like that. It won't be guys that won't be on the team. There'll be practice squad guys. So, I mean, he's an elite talent. So I want to see him in preseason game number 2, because he's probably not going to play until, they're out of playoff contention, if that even happens.
Yeah, Malik Willis, 11 pass attempts, completing 6 of those attempts, 107 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked twice. But again, it's not really about the result of the game. It's preseason. I don't care about the results of those games, but typical, another Ravens game and no passing touchdown for Lamar Jackson. I don't know what's happening. Just his passing struggles continue. I mean, I don't know. What a weird stat, by the way. What is it, like a 21 straight wins for the Baltimore Ravens in preseason? I mean, Harbaugh, man, he's just a preseason champion.
Yeah, man. I think they actually care about it, while other teams don't. And I mean, that's par for the course for a guy that is a former special teams coach, because there's no breaks with a special teams dude. Like, it's all gas, no breaks with a special teams coach. I know people make fun of it and like they haven't lost a preseason game, but it's preseason. Who cares? Like it's an attitude thing. It's an attitude. It's a hey, when we going out there to compete, we're going out there to win, and everything like that. I can appreciate that.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM. Again, the Ravens in preseason action last night, 23-10 over the Titans. The Patriots and the Giants played, and man, the Patriots just they're boring. They're chaotic, but they're even boring when they're chaotic. Like, does that make sense? Like the Patriots, everyone wanted to make the Patriots drama when there was never drama. And then that's why when Deflategate happened, oh man, everyone wet their pants with excitement because finally I knew those evil SOBs were up to something, right? Now there's drama everywhere, whether it's Pat Matricia or Pat, whatever the hell's name. Yeah. The offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, who's going to call the plays, who's going to do this. There just seems to be drama and discord amongst the coaching staffs. Just even that's boring. I'm just not interested in the Patriots. I have zero interest in the Patriots. Are the Patriots a playoff team? They were a playoff team last year. I get that. But I felt like a year ago at this time, there was a point where the Patriots were a Super Bowl favorite past the halfway point of last year. This isn't like, oh man, since Tom Brady, they've just been garbage. Folks, they were a Super Bowl favorite in the second half of last season. They were rolling. Mac Jones looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great within the rails, the guardrails that were put up for him. But the Patriots were winning with defense, which was ironic because they just got absolutely torched by Josh Allen in the postseason.
Right.
Are the Patriots a playoff team this year? Because their defense is very similar, not as explosive offensively, and they don't have Josh McDaniels anymore. So I don't know.
I still got them making the playoffs. I know a lot of people saying that it's going to be the Dolphins who take that wild card spot from the AFC East. I'm going to still go with the Pats. I did want to ask you, what do you make of this Patricia, former defensive coordinator, obviously former head coach with the Lions? Now he's the OC, like a defensive guy, now an OC. Where you at with it? Not only the OC, he's going to be calling plays.
None of this. Normally, I usually don't care about this. I've always thought that, like, why does it matter? You know, who's calling plays, who's not? If you're calling the plays that fill the philosophy of the team, why does it matter? It's all really going back up to Belichick. But this is different. If you look at the league, offensive coaches, offensive play callers are winning. All right, the Bengals, Zach Taylor, and folks, this isn't a jab at the Bengals. Zach Taylor was a joke of a hire at the time. Now it looks like a very good hire. Zach Taylor is doing what all the other young coaches, all the other Sean McVay prodigies are doing right now, right? They're winning, and they're winning with their offense, and they're winning with their play calling. So for me right now, I can't sit here and just do the whole, you got to try. Bill Belichick's the best coach of all time. Who are we to question him? This is a very, very bad move. And it's a very similar direction that Mac Jones, he's a great example because last year looked really solid because he had an offensive-minded guy running the show. Mm-hmm. Now he doesn't. That's the problem in Chicago with Justin Fields. I think Mac Jones takes a step back. I don't think the Patriots make the playoffs, mainly because 10 teams will win 10-plus games this year. 3 of those 10 teams that win 10-plus games this year will miss the playoffs. I don't even know if the Patriots can get to 10 wins. The Bills are legitimate. And I think that the Dolphins are better. And the Jets, I think the Jets aren't playoff bound, but I think that they're going to be in that 7 to 9 win range, which is where the Patriots will be. The Patriots, I think, could finish in last in that division, just depending on how much growth we see from one year to the next in Zach Wilson.
Part of me wants to say that this is crazy. A defensive coordinator calling plays, but
not experts. Mad River Mulch and Topsoil is the area's leader for mulch, processed topsoil, garden mix, decorative gravel, and animal bedding. At I-70 and Route 4 in Springfield and at madrivermulch.com.
Looking for dippable chicken that's done right? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the 10-piece strips meal at a great price. You'll get 10 premium chicken tenderloins that are freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to crispy perfection, along with 2 of our large sides, 5 fluffy biscuits, and 3 of your favorite dipping sauces. These are the best strips, no bones about it. Make your family and your wallet happy with a 10-piece strips meal, only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Get hot water when you need it with a new Richmond water heater from Menards. Shop Menards' great selection of water heaters in stock. We have high-efficiency models, including tankless options too. Find the perfect fit for your home and save on energy costs for years to come. Get 11% off all Richmond water heaters now at Menards. Good through August 14th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
The WING Back to School giveaway is a company-wide contest for a total of 1 contest winner to win the grand prize of $1,000 and $1,000 to be donated to the school PTO, PTA, or registered charity of the winner's choice. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Odds of winning depend on the number of eligible entries received. Contest is open to U.S. residents 18 years or older. Contest is sponsored by participating Alpha Media, Aptivada, or their parent, subsidiary, and affiliated entities. Advertising agencies, promotional partners, and members of families or households are not eligible to enter or win. Odds of winning depend on number of entries received. Contest is subject to all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Void where prohibited. Participants must sign all contest release and waiver forms to be eligible to win the prize. The contest begins on Friday, July 29th, 2022 and ends on Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. During the contest, you may enter to win by visiting wingam.com and following the instructions to enter. For full contest rules, please visit wingam.com. Decisions of station management with respect to the contest are final.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
If you're like most people, you just don't have time to shop around for a used car. You you need Drive One Car and Truck in Springfield. DriveOneCarAndTruck.com is an interactive website that allows you to browse through inventory, get directions, and you can even see how the car's price matches up to the market. And if you have questions, you can just hit the text button and they'll text you right back with all the info you need to make a decision. Set up a time to test drive and hit the application tab and apply for a loan online in minutes. They make it easy. Don't buy one till you've been to Drive One. Drive One Car and Truck in Springfield.
School is back and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Hurry in store while they last. Stock up and save and shop tax-free all weekend. Extended store hours Friday and Saturday. Shopping is back.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Also live, streaming live at wingam.com. You can watch the show live at on Facebook at the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page and on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Coming up in the coming weeks, of course, we'll announce how you can be a part of our NFL Pro Pick'em. Of course, we're looking forward to that. That's coming up around the corner. We'll be starting up our Sunday morning tailgate show at Fricker's coming up here in the near future as well. Yes, that fall is, it's you could smell it.
Smell it. I mean, it's
the
not
leaves starting to change yet. Have you noticed any
No, but
you
I
can start to see a slight, yellowization, if you will.
No, I haven't, but I've noticed it's only been like 83 degrees as opposed to 93 degrees. So that's a good thing.
That's, I like that chill in the air, by the way. I like to I like when you can turn the air off in your house and just open up all the windows. That's the best.
Agreed.
That's the best. So there you go. All right, welcome back again. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. It's game day for the Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati Bengals, whatever. Doesn't matter. Does it matter for the Browns, Kev? Does it matter? Does it matter for any of these teams? So tonight, the Browns and Jaguars will kick off at 7 o'clock, and the Cardinals and the Bengals will kick off at 7:30. And for those of you who are preparing to be, really horrible gamblers, if you want the lines for these, Jacksonville,
Duval,
2.5-point favorite at home over Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, the
Rolling.
Browns preseason starting quarterback.
Rolling out their starter in game 1 of the preseason and already underdogs.
Cincinnati Bengals, 1.5 favorite at home as they got the Cardinals coming in. I think it's cool. Look, it is cool for the Bengals fan base right now, as this is a program or a franchise right now that is now taking that huge step in the right direction. Getting to the Super Bowl last year, and it's a much different vibe than a year ago at this time. I mean, I remember getting into it with Bengals fans a year ago at this time, and I've slightly learned my lesson. I'm not saying I've completely learned it. I'm sure I'll irritate y'all, and we'll get into it here in the near future. But a year ago at this time, I could just tell how conflicted Bengals fans were, because they wanted to call in and yell at me for everything I was saying about their team that had won 6 games in 2 years before last year. But they also wanted to be excited, and it was but this year it's different. They're cocky, and I could do nothing about it. Be cocky. I have no problem with that. See, all of you thought that I was going to be annoyed with you for being cocky about your team because you had told me I couldn't be cocky about my team when my team won. My team didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Be cocky. You should be cocky. This is sports. Sports is supposed to be fun. Be obnoxious. I'm still going to tell you to shut up. I'm still going to, poke fun at you. All right. I'm still going to laugh at your team when they lose, just so you know. And I promise you on Mondays after your team loses, oh my goodness, it's just, we're going to have a good time. We are going to have a good time whenever, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate, when your team loses. And the reason I could say that confidently and very, arrogantly is because your team's not going to lose very often. My team's going to lose quite often if Jacoby Brissett's the starting quarterback for all 17 games this upcoming season. So there's that. But no, preseason games tonight. Kev, it's preseason tonight. So I've just seen the excitement all over. It's game day. Everyone do it's game day. It's game day. I'm like, really? Are we doing this? But I'm not going to poke fun at that. I'm glad that, it's football. It's exciting. High school kicks off next week. Preseason's officially underway. We're a few weeks from college football kicking off, which is pretty damn exciting. So it's pretty neat. September 3rd, by the way, Ohio State, Notre Dame kicking off.
Where can they listen to that game?
Right here on 1410 WING, and of course on 92.9 Jack FM.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be hanging out at Submarine House every Saturday. Me and Keith Byers and
Pre-game,
yourself
pre-game.
and the WING team will be out there every Saturday getting set for Ohio State football. We'll be there right up to kickoff and hanging out for some of the first half, of course. Submarine House in Kettering has a pretty cool setup. I'm pretty jacked about doing the majority of the shows on Saturdays from there. Have you been out there?
I have not been out there yet.
They have the nice little patio on the outside. You could sit outside and enjoy your meal. I had their pizza the other night. Their pizzas are pretty damn good, by the way.
It is Friday. It is Pizza Friday at the Nash household.
So pretty excited about the Buckeye pregame shows coming up here. As the season's not too far off in the distance. All right. We have about 5 minutes remaining here on this show. And I guess right now, every time I keep hitting refresh on Twitter, I'm getting nothing as far as the NFL coming down with any kind of decision. I thought that we would have heard something by now. Are you shocked that the NFL has not come down, or do you think that they'll do it closer to kickoff of the Browns? I think if there's any kind of petty, childish games going on between the Browns and the NFL right now, the NFL will show their hand by announcing their decision maybe an hour or 2 hours before kickoff tonight. Because I feel like they're going to do that 2 hours before kickoff so that they can now put the ball in the court, in the side of the Browns court, so that they could decide, are we just going to start him anyway despite the league? Or they have to make a tough decision. They gave him all the reps all week to prepare for this game. I know it's just preseason, so I'm not like trying to be dramatic here, but it is set up kind of a weird thing. I'll be very surprised if they don't make an announcement here within the next 2 hours, to be quite honest with you.
Man, you want to talk about petty. If they just keep dragging this thing out. Before with Judge Robinson, I think it was a different situation. This judge, he has all the information. She was conducting a quote unquote investigation or legal proceeding. He's just reviewing everything that she's already done. So this is definitely a situation where the league is dragging it out on purpose. And if they're dragging it out on purpose, the Browns better be wary, because a situation could come down any minute now, or they could be like, let's wait until Friday before week 1. It's the NFL, man. You can't put nothing past the NFL.
Also, keep in mind the Friday, and Shaw just said, I think in the comment section, he mentioned the 5 o'clock Friday news dump.
Yes, sir.
The reason I don't think this would be considered a Friday news dump is because, like, this is all that will be talked about. Like, you want to do this on a Friday to hide it, but the problem is that the NFL, this is their couple of days. This is their weekend, right? Like, I know it's preseason. I'm just saying, though, all of these NFL games are going to be going on. I feel like if you're the NFL, I think you do a Monday afternoon news dump, just because it's not going to overshadow any of your games. I mean, they still want to get rating. They still want to get, these games talked about. But then again, I don't think that they care. I think the NFL at times almost has this Vince McMahon WWE approach,
brother,
where we don't care what you're saying about us, just that you're talking about us, right? Like, it's very strange to me. I don't think the NFL has to operate like the other leagues, where the other leagues have to, be very, specific about how they go about positioning their league, from a PR standpoint. This isn't good PR, but the NFL doesn't care. The NFL has always thrived off of even bad PR, as gross as that sounds. I don't know. I just don't think they operate under that mindset of, oh man, we got to put this out at 5 because we got to minimize how much we talk about this. This is all anyone's talking about. Right. You're not hiding this, and I don't think you could de-escalate this. I don't care if you announce it at midnight or 1 a.m., 5 p.m. on Monday, 8 a.m. on Monday. I think this is going to be the most talked about thing whenever it is announced. So I don't believe that the NFL operates that way under the 5 o'clock news dump. Let's try to bury it. I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah, a part of me believes they're going to come down with something, because I don't think the NFL wants him on the field at all, regardless if it's a preseason game or not. And they would put the Browns in a situation where they would kind of like have to, quote unquote, decide like what to do with him. Like, all right, man, he's suspended for the entire season. Why are we even putting him out there for a preseason game at all? He's not coming back this season, so there's no more need for the quote unquote he needs to get reps conversation, because it don't matter. He ain't coming back. So I kind of changed my tune. I think they will do something right before kickoff. So keep hitting refresh, Kenner.
Oh, I'm trying. NFL reporter Mark Maskey for the Washington Post tweeted out about 10 minutes ago that one person involved in the Deshaun Watson case says that there has been no indication given when the appeal ruling by Peter Harvey will be delivered. This person did not express optimism that a settlement between the Players Association and the NFL on Watson's punishment will be reached. In the meantime, a follow-up tweet says that Deshaun Watson is scheduled to play for the Browns coming up tonight at 7 o'clock in their preseason opener at Jacksonville, barring a full season suspension being imposed by Peter Harvey's appeal ruling that could bar Watson from playing in the preseason games, which this is why I'm saying to look out for this. This could be a very, like at this point, this is why, like, because what's happening now is everyone is having their different takes on it. And if you come across as anti-NFL, the people on the other side are coming at you saying, wow, you're actually mad at the NFL for trying to hold him accountable, when really that's not why people are mad. I'm coming at it as everyone knows where I stand with Deshaun Watson. I said if he gets suspended for a year, and I said yesterday I think he will be, and I've already mentally moved on. I think it should probably be a year, and I would understand if it was a year longer just because, look at Trevor Bauer in Major League Baseball. Like, it is what it is at this point. But I think with the problem I have is if the NFL does announce this within the next hour or two, Kev, it is petty. And they'll try to hide behind that perception of, oh, it's a 5 o'clock news dump. No, they're doing it on purpose because the news has already been released this week that the Browns have given all the first team reps to Deshaun Watson, that he has gotten all the majority of the snaps this week to prepare for this preseason game. I could see them being petty. And then to your point, the NFL, the Browns could counter and then say, well, you know what? We're going to play him anyways tonight, even though you've suspended him because, but according to this, no, once Harvey's decision is made and he is suspended for the year, he's not allowed to take one snap tonight. And I'm not even sure how aggressive it could be as far as whether he's even allowed on the sideline tonight. So, look, I don't feel bad for the Browns. I don't feel bad for Deshaun Watson. I definitely don't feel bad for the NFL in this. Everyone has played a role in why this has turned into as big a fiasco as it has. But I am, I'll be shocked if they don't make that announcement here shortly, but I probably won't happen.
I mean, we've seen the NFL do a lot of petty things, from everything that was going on with the Arizona Cardinals moving way back in the day, from the situation that's going on with the I guess they are now the Los Angeles Rams too, when they were the St. Louis Rams and everything like that. They wanted a team in Los Angeles. The NFL kind of forced their hand to get them to Los Angeles a season sooner. After that team had won a Super Bowl in St. Louis, they were done with that market. So the NFL is not above being petty.
518-1410, hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 coming up around the corner. Got some college basketball news. One of the biggest active names in college basketball signs a 5-year extension, arguably the best active coach in college basketball, that is. We'll talk about who that is coming up around the corner. The number 6 is going to be retired throughout the National Basketball Association. We'll talk about that coming up. Obviously, respects being paid towards Bill Russell. Why everything has to be a thing to get mad about is just beyond me. But we'll get to that coming up around the corner. More fallout from the John Calipari comments that he made yesterday about his school being a basketball school. Kevin, I deferred on that. We'll get back into that coming up around the corner. Look, we got a lot coming at you. Got some FanDuel over-unders coming up around the corner as well in hour 2. We got a jam-packed final 2 hours coming up next right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The biannual blowout is just a week away, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Keenan's Rug Emporium is rolling out a Labor Day bonanza.
Have that flatweed shipment coming in.
He needs 10 new sales associates as the crowds loom large.
Someone run a stock check on all the Moroccan 8x10s?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's.
Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner.
Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
With nearly 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores and over 17,000 Napa Auto Care centers, Napa is the fuel that helps drivers like you get up and go.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN radio.
Hour number 2, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM. Wow, this story caught my attention during the commercial break, and my ADD is in full force here on a Friday. I got a case of the Fridays today. I want to grab this and run with it. Interesting here, because I think we all, like, you know, when we fall in love with sports as kids, like, we all remember going to our first games as kids and like that feeling of being a kid and looking up to your idols and wanting to get their autograph or wanting to get a picture with them, which back in the day. Now, and I'm curious your thought, when you do run into people that are really cool, to me, I'm all about the picture. Hey, let's get a picture real quick. I do not care. I'm amazed at how many people still stop people to get autographs. Like, do you care about autographs? Is that a thing? Hey guys, come check it out, man. Got this cool autograph, man. I was at the game and it's all Obi Toppin. He signed my Pepsi cup, man. Come check. No, you wanted that picture. Either type picture. Otherwise, I assume you wrote that yourself. I don't care about autographs. I really never had cared about autographs, but that was big back in the day, because that was your proof of look who I met. But pictures are where it's at, man. I'm just surprised that autographs are as big of a deal as what they are.
Yeah, the ability to actually see famous people now happens at a way higher rate. I was having a conversation with our guy Andy, and he was telling me how he used to mail off baseball cards when he was a kid, and then like would get them back in the mail and actually autographed by said player and everything like that. That doesn't happen anymore. The only way you're going to get signed merch is by going to one of these places to buy said merch that is signed. They sit down and they go in that room and they sign. You buy it. I think that stuff is cool. But I'm with you. Like, if I was to see, you know, somebody that I looked up to sports wise, or, you know, just in music or whatever, I want the pick. I don't want your raggedy signature. I want the pick. And if I want something that you signed, I want a helmet. Like my brother has a Troy Smith autograph helmet. My brother has a autographed picture from Coach Tressel. Like, I think that's cool. But like Coach Tressel signed his blank sheet of paper. Tressel signed a picture of him holding the national championship trophy. Thumbs up.
So I'm not saying all pro athletes have been told this, but numerous pro athletes that I've spoke to have said that, you know, although autographs aren't as big a deal now as what they used to be, you know, a lot of times these athletes, this is how they make money off to the side as they do these autograph signings. And what they do is, you know, they get paid by the spot, almost like a promoter, to pay them to come sit down, and they'll sign autographs for everybody. And that's how they make their money, is doing that. But when they're out and about and they run into fans, you run into innocent fans who want your autograph. That's great. That's super. And a lot of times these pro athletes will do that. But if they come across a fan that they deem to be kind of taking advantage of the situation. Hey, man, I looked across. I happened to notice you. I just happen to have 30 pictures of you in my car. Do you mind signing these real quick? First of all, you're sleazeball. And so how these athletes are coached by their agents to deal with this is, well, for one, they could just tell them no. But what they're told is, and I've been told this from multiple athletes, you don't give them your signature. You may put your like first initial. So let's say you just put the letter B and then a line with the dot on the top.
Right.
Just so your first, and then, so you've signed it technically, but then when you go try to sell that, you're not going to make money off that because of the way that they signed it. I didn't know that was a thing, but I thought that was, and I've heard that from multiple. That way you're still being friendly. You're not creating a tension-filled moment of just telling someone no. But I thought that was interesting that there's one way around that too, is to be able to, or they'll say, what's your name? And they'll put nothing drives people more who are just actually chasing the dollar than when the athlete asks them their name and then they put to Matt from the, you know what I mean? Like when because once you put your name on it, unless you're selling it to someone with your name, it don't really matter. I bring all this up because I guess today Josh Allen getting a little criticism on social media for not signing for fans. And he wanted to clarify that at training camp, he will stop as much as he can to sign every autograph for every kid. He apologizes to the adults, though. He's not signing for the adults.
I have no problem with
that. I have no problem with that either. So enough Bills fans show up to training camp seeking quarterback Josh Allen's autograph that he doesn't have time to sign for everyone, so he prioritizes the kids. Allen said that he's passing the mobs of fans as he walks off the field after practice. He stops for children and signs autographs, but he's not a fan of adults demanding autographs, and especially not a fan of the memorabilia dealers who use kids to get autographs and then sell the autographed item. So funny story. Said it earlier, by the way, jacked to be starting the Sunday morning tailgate show again live out at Frickers. When we get closer to the NFL season, we'll have our full schedule kick off to that, here, I believe in the next week or two. But my favorite thing is one of my favorite stories, me and KB, Keith Byers were sitting there and this guy walks up and he has a couple of his younger children up and they're holding pictures of Keith. And this little girl walks up to Keith and she asked him for his autograph, and the dad goes, you're her favorite player. And I look at Keith and I'm like, this idiot, I swear. And I don't know this guy, but I know who he is. And I literally, my blood boils every time I see him walk in. But he walked in and he did this, and he does this every time. And then he brought like his parents. Oh, my mom was the biggest fan of yours growing up and blah, blah. And then I heard the mom a little bit later. She don't even watch football. So I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Keith made eye contact. Like, yeah, this little girl has no clue who the hell you are. But, he was in there having his kids bring up all these items. And they're all items that he takes and goes and sells. And I see that he does it on social media. So every time I see him, I'm like, you're not getting anything signed. You're done. I'm pretty sure you've had enough items that he has signed. You're done. But it drives me crazy, and it's none of my business. I don't know why it drives me nuts, but I know it drives him nuts. So it's like, but I see people do that. I've witnessed it. No one wants my autograph. That's why at Frickers, I always put up, Keith will sign one item, but Kenner will sign as many items as you want.
I was wondering.
No one's ever left disappointed, by the way.
I was wondering if you were going to tell that story, because I've heard the story. I've been there when that certain individual has come there with his children, and I just think to myself, like, man.
And by the way, don't be afraid to come up and ask him for, like, for every one sleaze bag, there are 9 legitimate, awesome fans that come out and support the show and want his autograph. Please do it. Continue, Kev. I just want to make sure I'm being clear on that.
Yes, absolutely. KB is awesome about all that type of stuff. It's just weird. It's just weird because, I, being obviously older than children and everything like that, I don't remember KB at Ohio State. Like, my first memories of watching Ohio State aren't from him, even though I was alive. But my memories of Keith Byers are when he played with Philadelphia. Like, that's like my first memories of Keith Byers. So to see a little girl, 5-year-old girl, holding a Keith Byers picture of him running out of his shoes and everything like that. Oh yeah, she loves that game. Like, not saying it can happen, but it's highly unlikely. And that's just weird to me. Like, if you, I just like people to be honest. Like, if you are one of those people that sells autographs and sells merch and everything like that, shoot it to them straight. Don't try to pawn kids off on it. Like, yeah, she's a huge fan. Just like, hey man, this is my side hustle, man. I would appreciate it if you help me out and sign some stuff. Trust me, that will go a lot further than you trying to lie to people. Just be honest. Just be honest about it. Just like, hey, KB, man, look, I go blah, blah, blah to these places. This is how I pay the bills, man. Can you help me out and sign a couple? trust me, that will help you a lot more than bringing up your kids, because you bring up the kids, probably not going to sign it.
So this more from Josh Allen. He says, I try to just sign for the kids. And this was a quote in the Buffalo News. There's some you hate to see it and you know it and you can tell it's not their item. It is what it is. I pick out the kids. I do apologize to the adults. Kids are kind of what makes this thing go. I remember being that kid. But what he's saying is because it's unfortunate, because you could see certain items that kids are holding that you're like, why would a kid have that particular item that they want sold? But it's gross, man. Like these parents will take their kids knowing that the athletes won't give their weird asses any time of day. So they try to use their cute kids to manipulate the athlete into signing something, knowing and I think that's horrible. But Josh Allen's response is, that's tough on them, because he goes, I'm not going to tell the kid no, but he could tell that the item that they're wanting him to sign is on behalf of, whatever. But, I don't know. If I was a professional athlete, I would be petty and I'd be like, oh, let me sign that card. And then I actually bent that. I'm sorry, man. But there you go. But no, I found that interesting. I can't tell you. I don't know if I've ever been one to go chase after an autograph. Obviously not as an adult, but I think even when I was a kid, I didn't really care about the autograph part. I just thought it was cool if you saw a celebrity or you saw a professional athlete. I always thought that was neat. I don't think I ever had any autographed anything. I got more excited when I'd get holographic Pokemon cards. Like that's what was up. Like that's when you hit the jackpot as a kid. I'm just saying. But
big money.
Nonetheless. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here. Hour 2, 457-9464. Do you agree or disagree? Where are you guys at with this? Do you guys chase the autographs? Are you big on collecting autographs? And to Kev's point, if you are, I don't think that if you do that, you're a bad person. What I get mad at is the people who try to manipulate the situation. They try to lie and say that their kids are a big fan of yours and probably don't even watch football. And that stuff's weird to me. Don't use your kids to lie, to manipulate the situation. I think that's weird and creepy. Just throwing that out there, but who knows?
You've been warned.
Yeah. Because everyone cares what Kinner thinks of that. So there's that. But no, 518-1410. Phone lines are open. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 80. Tonight's going to be mostly clear, a low near 55, and tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high near 82. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
School is back and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Hurry in store while they last. Stock up and save and shop tax-free all weekend. Extended store hours Friday and Saturday. Shopping is back.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Dealing with an outdated printer that just can't keep up with you? Visit Staples and upgrade to a new HP Envy Inspire with HP Plus, HP's best home printer. And it comes with 6 months of free ink. It prints everything you need, from homework and work documents to incredible photos and more with amazing quality. Right now, save $70 on the HP Envy Inspire 7955E, available at Staples. Offer valid through August 27. See staples.com/HP Plus for details.
Veterans, were you exposed to harmful burn pit smoke while serving overseas? The Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized and is providing benefits to veterans who suffer with asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis as a result of burn pit exposure. If you served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti, and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers with a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, new equipment. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
This should be 8x7. When it comes to closets, Janina's home organization business runs tip-top tidy.
Is the schedule right? I'm going to need help.
But she needs to reorganize and find a new assistant.
I know it's your last week, but can you make sure the Hanson pantry's wrapped?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home, auto, and other vehicles.
In hockey, it's the goalie's job to protect the net. And in life, your net is your home and auto, but also your boat, motorcycle, RV, or ATV. And your goalie is the round-the-clock protection offered by Progressive Insurance. Well, it's also the savings you get when you bundle. So in this metaphor, you have two goalies, which is okay because, it's just a metaphor.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
School is back and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Hurry in store while they last. Stock up and save and shop tax-free all weekend. Extended store hours Friday and Saturday. Shopping is back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Any big plans this weekend, Kev?
Big chill. Actually, I was talking to the wife about this. For the last 6 weeks, we have been somewhere on a weekend. Like it's obviously we went to Chicago, we've been to Columbus to the Ohio State Fair, we've been down to Cincinnati multiple times for Cincinnati Music Festival, birthday parties in Cincinnati, birthday parties in other cities and everything like that. This weekend, this Friday and Saturday, chilling.
Yeah, I always say I'm going to do nothing, and then I end up a bunch of stuff pops up. But I got tea time on Sunday at Miami Valley, kicking off my Sunday doing that. No plans for tomorrow. I'm sure I'll find something to do.
Check your stations, dudes.
So, yeah, no kidding. That's always when that stuff seems to happen. But no update yet on the Browns and the NFL as far as any ruling coming down on Deshaun Watson's suspension status at this point. You saw last night, though, that him and his team had basically counter proposed, I guess, basically trying to come up to an agreement of, all right, fine, I'll serve 8 games and a $5 million fine. Look, I don't know this for the scope of what the NFL wants and the scope of what he thinks is fair. Like, again, I'm not defending him here, but at the end of the day, like, people are mad, like, oh, he is showing zero remorse. He is showing zero, like, any kind of, like, take any accountability at all. But, like, what do you do if you're in a situation? Like, let's just pretend he did nothing. Let's just pretend that this is a smear job. Let's just pretend. I'm not saying it is. Let's just pretend. If it really is a smear job and he has been consistent from the beginning to now that I have done nothing wrong, why are we, if he believes that he's done nothing wrong, I mean, what do you do in that situation? You just cave to the public pressure of, I'm really sorry for what I didn't do, but I feel like I have to say I did just so people will stop saying that I'm not, remorseful for this. I mean, what do you do? It's like you almost have to fall for public pressure Or maybe he is just a freaking sociopath and just does not feel bad about anything he did if he did these things. Like I said, we all don't know. Everyone, they keep saying, well, no, I mean, the judge found that he did sexually assault it. She found that he sexually assaulted them based on the NFL's ruling, not the legal ruling, and we're splitting hairs. It's still gross. I'm not defending him. There's so many moving parts, and people are grabbing certain aspects of this and running with it. I don't know what's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just admit to everything, even if he didn't do it? Or is he just a sociopath? I know these are the same questions we've been asking for months and almost well over a year now, but damn, this is just nuts. I just want the NFL to hurry up and rule it so that we could just focus on the Browns quarterback situation heading in. I'm tired of this. I don't like he's suspended. Just announce it so this can move on.
Right.
I actually hope they don't accept it. I don't want to do the 8 weeks of no Deshaun and then 8 weeks, 7 or 9 weeks of Deshaun. I don't, because that means for the first 8 weeks, it's constant chatter about Deshaun.
When's he coming back?
Deshaun come back. When is he going to be ready? How is he going to be ready?
Right,
by
they're
week
4-4 now when
Yes.
Watson gets back.
I don't care about that at all, especially because they might have an option to have a dude that can win them 10 to 11 games, get in the playoffs, and maybe make some noise. So I don't care. I'll be a big fan of him as the quarterback in 2023, if that's the case for right now. But for right now, I'm over it. I'm exhausted. I just want to start talking about the Browns, what they're going to look like this year. We can't even get to that point. I'm over it. I'm exhausted. And if I'm exhausted, I can't imagine how the team feels, how Stefanski feels. And I don't really care about ownership because they created this mess. But it is what it is. I just want them to hurry up and make this ruling. But when you heard he suggested 8 games and $5 million fine, was that kind of laughable too? It still seems light. I mean, not still seems, it is still very light.
It's the situation where he's trying to give him something, and so he can still get back on the field. Because I mean, he wants to play football. Like, he's a football player. He wants to get back on the field. And we got to remember, there's a lot of egos at stake. I mean, on both sides and everything like that. His attorney, even Deshaun himself, his whole camp, like, look, man, like, I'm not willing to do X, Y, and Z. And like, you're right, he could be a sociopath where in his mind, he believes he didn't do anything wrong and everything like that. And he could have actually done these things. And he's like, man, I didn't do that. It wasn't that bad for me to do this. I'll do this instead. Like, how many times have we been there where our parents as kids is like, well, it wasn't that bad, was it, for me to be on punishment for 2 weeks? I mean, a week I could understand.
Take the trash out,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that situation. Obviously, it's a level 20, but yeah, man.
518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Preseason games tonight, the Browns and the Jaguars, and then the Bengals have the Cardinals tonight, 7:30, their kickoff. Look, it doesn't matter because Joe Burrow, so many starters for the Bengals have missed so much time in the first 2 weeks of camp anyways, that there's really no point in talking about, will you see the starters tonight or not? But let's assume the Bengals were completely healthy and every team's completely healthy. Where are you at? Like, there's now such a wide range of philosophies on whether or not you play your starters in the preseason at all. I guess the Chiefs, Andy Reid, they're going to be playing their starters one full quarter.
Yeah.
Like, it used to just be, you might get a series or two in the first preseason game, maybe a half a quarter the second, and then a full first half the third preseason game, and then sit out the fourth preseason game. Now it's Andy Reid's like full first quarter right off the bat.
He was like that last year too.
Yep. And then everyone's like, oh man, that's crazy. I can't believe you're going to do that. And then the Rams, they don't play anybody.
They ain't got nothing but starters on their team anyway.
So it's like, it's interesting, the different philosophies. My thing is this, I don't think it hurts teams not to play their starters in the preseason, but I also think, I'm trying to think how to word this. Playing your starters in the preseason does help, but I don't think not playing them hurts. There we go. That's how I want to word it. Playing your starters definitely helps. More reps, live game simulations against opponents that you're not going up against every day in practice. I think playing in the preseason definitely helps, but I also do not think not playing your starters in the preseason hurts because everyone's sloppy as could be the first 2-3 weeks of the season, penalties are through the roof. We always think that officials are flag heavy to start the season. I don't think it's that. I think it's that everyone is so sloppy and they don't have their timing down. I think that everyone just isn't hadn't had their timing down yet. But, officiating is always the big talking point to start the season. And I think as the season goes on, it becomes less of a talking point. So you get to the playoffs and a big magnified situation happens. But I'm always fascinated by that too. But what do you think?
I think that it really varies from team to team. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, for instance, they have transitioned from a very veteran team on offense to a very young team on offense at the offensive line position, the skill position, and obviously the quarterback position. I'm cool with them getting the whole first half, bruh. I'm cool with them going out there the first half, getting as many reps as humanly possible. Because if it's so many spots open, as Coach Tomlin is saying, we need to evaluate everything. We need to be evaluating every single rep that's out there, not only from Mitch Trubisky and the quarterback positions, but the offensive line guys. Now, on the flip side, I don't need to see TJ Watt out there. I don't need to see Cam Hayward out there. I don't need to see Minka Fitzpatrick out there. Y'all can watch from the sidelines. Them other dudes, y'all need to be out there. And the same thing goes, I know Tom Brady's like taking kind of a quote-unquote leave of absence from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't need to see the first team offense out there at all for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ever. I don't need to see y'all until week 1. I can't risk it, man. So I think it definitely varies from team to team. I know Andy Reid's approach with his offense is all about timing and everything like that. So that's why he's so gun-ho about having guys go out there, especially the first team, get a ton of reps. But with the Cincinnati Bengals, so many injuries, so many guys coming off of injury, I should say. You obviously Joe Burrow with the surgery, non-football related, then the Collins and everything with the back situation. Like
T. Higgins coming off of surgery as well.
Yeah. So like I'll see y'all week 2. We can go out there, get a quarter or two week 2. First one, we're about to have Kenner at quarterback, me at wide receiver, freaking Dunbar's offensive line, Centerville secondary. Like, we're not going out there with anybody that's a vital part to this team.
518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Kev, see who we got, if you don't mind. But we'll take your calls on this NFL preseason as we currently sit here right now. Again, like I said, I think that the teams who do play their starters in the preseason, I think it helps. I think it helps with timing. It helps with reps. It helps going up against a defense that you haven't been playing against over and over and over in practice. But at the same time, I think for the coaches like Sean McVay, the coach that just totally revamped how coaching staffs are built in the NFL, and the guy that just led his team to a Super Bowl, I think that guy knows a thing or two about coaching. I don't think he's wrong for not playing his starters either. But you also got to understand, I don't think it's the same across the board, kind of to Kev's point. Everyone's built a little different. The Rams are a veteran-led team.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need it. The Bengals, even though they were in the Super Bowl last year, although the situation's different because they're not healthy, but let's say everyone was healthy. Let's say T and Joey B, and let's say all these guys were ready to go. Collins didn't have that back issue in July. I think it would be important to give them some preseason snaps just because that offensive line timing would be very crucial. And you're still a relatively young roster. So I think that the Bengals would be a team that would need that. The Browns would be a team that needs those preseason games because of a brand new quarterback and a much more detailed scheme. Maybe the defense doesn't need to play.
Right.
But the offense does, or vice versa. The Steelers, that offense probably needs to be out there for preseason, not keep Hayward and some of those guys. They're
not even out there getting the helmet, bro.
So it's
matter of fact, y'all don't even come to the game. Y'all just stay at home, bro. Like, I don't need you out here, man.
And then
at all.
Andy Reid and the Chiefs, it makes sense. This last year, I thought I was like, well, they don't need to be out there, but it's not going to hurt anything. I mean, if they get hurt, that's a problem. But it's football. You can't. I'm sorry, in football, you just can't always be hiding from the injuries. Doesn't mean you be reckless and start your starters for all 4 quarters, but I'm just saying. But this year's important for the Chiefs to get out there because it's a whole new receiving core or less explosive. And they, I think it'd be interesting to kind of see how they look for a quarter without Hill and kind of see where they go from there. But no, I think it varies. 518-1410. Kev, who is up?
We got Craig from West Milton on line 2.
Craig in West Milton. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Chilling.
Good, man. Thanks for holding. Appreciate it.
Hey, I love your show. Never called in before. I guess you can call me Cleveland Craig.
Cleveland Craig. I like it.
Diehard Browns fan. Can't stand another season of disruption and upset stomach over all the stuff that's constantly going on. But I was curious on your guys' opinion on why you don't think the Texans are getting just as much, if not more, of this negative pushback from everyone, because that's where it all took place.
No, and that's a good point too. And some people counter argue that and say, well, they settled everything. Well, so did Deshaun. And by the way, I'm not defending Deshaun. I think I'm if you're going to hold Deshaun to that level, then you need to hold the Texans to that level. And that's really where a lot of the people are coming from in regards to the criticism of how the NFL handles these situations. It's the teams and the owners and the front office personnel can just do whatever they want and break any rules they want. But man, when a player does it, oh my goodness, we have to pretend to be all holier than thou. That's the problem I have. I'm not arguing that the players should be able to break rules like the owners, but the owners should be held to the same accountability as the players. And I think that that's important. I'm glad you brought that up, because my mind hasn't even gone that way as far as pushing the outrage towards the Houston Texans, especially because they played a role in it. They're the ones that provided the non-disclosures. So that's what I find just as odd as anything. They don't provide the non-disclosures, Craig, if they didn't suspect that something weird was going on to begin with.
Correct.
I think something about the non-disclosures is, I think that's part of the reason why Deshaun is kind of not willing to accept any type of punishment, is because, hey man, they signed it. They signed what I gave them and everything like that.
But your team gave me to give that.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've always said this about the Texans, people in power should be held to a higher standard than the non-people in power. I guess that's how I should word it. But they've been sliding under the radar for the longest, and this just speaks to the amount of incompetence that goes on with the Texans franchise, that before this type of situation, from certain moves in the offseason and everything like that. And this just speaks to what's going on there. But there's multiple people accountable for what went wrong, obviously Deshaun, obviously the Texans, but the NFL, what they're going to say is they're going to rely on what they just did to the Miami Dolphins. That's what they're going to say. What do you mean? What are you talking about? We do punish ownership. Look what we just did to the Dolphins. That's what they're going to lean on. That's why they came down so heavy on them.
It's really no different than your own everyday mom and pop shop business that has an employee that's really good at what he does, but he's got a drinking problem, and they sweep it under the rug as often as possible. And then all of a sudden, when it all hits the fan, what do you do?
Yeah, look, and I think maybe more does come of the Houston Texans. I think the league's so focused on Deshaun Watson, but for right now, with the season about to kick off, and it technically has with preseason, all the attention is going to be on those games. So who knows? But hey, you said you're a Browns fan. It's your first time calling in. Where are you at with Jacoby Brissett? If Deshaun's suspended for the year, and I anticipate that he will be, you comfortable with Brissett being the quarterback for all 17 games, or do the Browns need to do everything they can to get Mr. Jimmy G?
No, I think he's had enough play time in the league to realize, what he is. He's a great teammate. He's a good guy. He has a lot of positives, but he has a low ceiling. So I think you already know what you have.
So are you saying they need to get Jimmy G?
I probably so.
Man, you sound so.
You ain't enthused about Jimmy G either.
You're just defeated. You sound like a Browns fan right now. Defeated.
It's still a temporary situation. It still leaves a lot of what ifs and questions. And
yeah, but at least they're football questions, man. I'm ready to talk about football. I want to talk about the Browns football issues and not these issues off the field. But hey, Craig, thanks so much for calling, man. Appreciate it. Hope to hear more from you.
Thank you so much, and I love what you guys do. You guys are great.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. I'm not used to compliments. I'm used to having to deal with Shaw yelling at me. Shaw called me a clown yesterday.
Oh, that was a good time yesterday.
Well, whatever.
How's Michigan going to do this year?
He's just mad because the Bearcats, are going to make the playoffs before his team.
Michigan's going back to the college football playoff, if you didn't know, according to Shaw. And they're going to beat Ohio State this year.
Cap.
Good job.
There we go. People like the cap and no cap game from yesterday, by the way.
Glad everybody could
follow
along.
A lot of my friends really confused. They were looking up the definitions last night, trying to figure it out.
Went up the Urban Dictionary.
They are now officially big fans of the cap and no cap game that we did yesterday. Maybe we can jump back into cap or no cap coming up here in just a little bit. But nonetheless, 518-1410, 518-1410. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. NFL preseason. Don't think it's right, or I don't think there is a right or a wrong way to do it. I mean, you can't, and I've always said this about baseball too. I remember we were talking about the Tyler Stevenson situation with the Cincinnati Reds. About, I was adamant. Everyone said, "Well, Kenner, you're a hypocrite because in football you say you can't be afraid of injuries, you got to play, but in baseball you want to pull you want to pull Tyler Stevenson out from behind the plate to avoid him getting hurt." And I was like, I think in baseball it's different. I'm actually technically calling out the hypocrisy in baseball because you have David Bell who will say things like, "Well, you can't make a decision out of fear of what might happen," coming from the guy that literally every decision he makes is about preventative measures. Every decision he makes. How can you manage an entire game, 162 games a year, making decisions off of trying to prevent something from happening, and then actually question why those out there, including me, would say, well, maybe your all-star potential future face of the franchise catcher should not be, behind home plate, seeing as all 3 stints on the IL this year have come from collisions at home plate. So I think it's a little different, and I'm more so calling out the hypocrisy of how baseball picks and chooses when they want to be preventative, I guess, if you will, in their decision-making. But football is a sport that I will never sit there and say, oh yeah, you got to hide from injury. You could try to prevent some of the injuries, but hiding from them is different. Preseason, it's meant to get you ready for the season. I have no problem with teams playing their starters for a limited time.
You know what? The Cincinnati Reds have been so bad this year. To my recollection, this is the first time you kind of went at David Bell. That's how bad they've been. They've been kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Well, they haven't been in a situation that, this team came in with almost 100 losses to start, so I can't put those all on him. But, he has done a lot of losing in Cincinnati. I will say that. 518-1410. Who we got?
Jesse.
Oh, the Jesse. We don't have Jesse. Jesse.
What happened, Jesse?
Yeah, he literally just got on hold. He apparently had heard enough. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
According to labor statistics, there are over 37,000 jobs in the Dayton region going unfilled. Many are good-paying jobs, essential to our society, that do not require a college degree. Find the career path that's right for you and your bank account. Go to BeTheEssential.com. There, you can find links to trade schools and career tech centers that can train you in a fraction of the time and cost. It's also where you can find caring companies willing to provide a fulfilling career that can last a lifetime. Find your future, not just a job. Go to BeTheEssential.com.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made at around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SAVE for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code SAVE. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SAVE for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code SAVE for a $5 bonus.
Get 11% off everything right now at Menards. Give your home's exterior an update with a new storm door from Larson. Larson storm doors save on energy costs, and they'll make your home more comfortable with several screen options. Get 11% off everything, including our entire selection of Larson storm doors, now at Menards. Good through August 14th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy inherited properties, vacant homes, rentals, commercial properties, and apartment buildings. Give us a call today and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
School is back and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Hurry in store while they last. Stock up and save and shop tax-free all weekend. Extended store hours Friday and Saturday. Shopping is back.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and master 5th grade math.
I can't do this. It's impossible.
Not you, Dad, your daughter. Staples will help her move forward.
Right.
Right now, Staples comp books and number 2 pencils are just 50 cents each. Plus, 2 pocket paper folders are only 25 cents each. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. Ends 8/27 in store only, limit 30.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is excited to announce their new delicious spicy bourbon chicken sandwich is here. It's the best of both worlds. They're spicy bourbon dippers that you love, brought into a sandwich you'll crave. It's made with a famous spicy chicken sandwich, smothered in their special bourbon barbecue sauce, dripping with flavor on a brioche bun. Enjoy it in a combo with your favorite side and a drink, priced just right at only $6.99, and only available at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Miami Valley locations. Lee's, famous for spicy bourbon chicken.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We do have Reds baseball coming up tonight, 6:40. First pitch, 6:10 coverage begins. The Reds lost their 4th straight last night, a 4-2 loss in the Field of Dreams game. Kev, did you have a chance to watch the Field of Dreams game?
No, but I did see Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. want to have a catch.
Yeah, in typical Kinner, always having to find something to complain about. Griffey, where's your Reds gear?
Do you associate him with the Reds?
To be fair, that's a homer thing because he's a Mariner. Well, he's a Cincinnati dude, though, so it's like it was weird. I mean, your dad had the Reds gear on, like all the former Reds had their stuff on. I just thought that was strange. But it's cool that they had Marty Brennaman there, Sean Casey, a lot of great, obviously Johnny Bench. The one thing I did not realize that I should have realized, not that I'm advocating for this dude to be there, no Pete Rose. of all the things that the Reds and that baseball have done in the past to try to advocate to let him be a part of. Now, some could say that, well, after the fiasco that happened in Philadelphia last week, there was no plans to have him be a part of this. Are you surprised? Because baseball sometimes, again, they're very hypocritical when it comes to the usage of Pete Rose. He's horrible. But hey, can you show up to this and help pop a rating for us and make some money? I'm surprised they didn't. But to be fair to baseball, they've always been hypocritical because I think they even know it's kind of stupid that they've kept him out because of the betting thing, especially as it's trend. But with this, with the sexual assault allegations, I think that's something that they weren't even playing with. But I was give baseball credit for being disciplined and not be willing to bend the, the moral rules a little for a rating. But it was interesting. No Pete Rose involvement last night.
And they didn't need him for a ratings pop. Like, this is one of those situations where you don't need a pop. Like, the environment itself.
The nostalgia, though. You think of Reds baseball, though.
Yeah,
you think
for
of
sure.
Pete Rose. You think of Pete Rose. So, but continue. I'm sorry.
But like this is one of those things that you're watching for the spectacle. You're watching to see some major leaguers play at the cornfields and all that type of stuff. Like, I didn't necessarily think you needed that. I mean, they had a lot of great things. They had a hologram of Harry Carey.
That was cool. That was freaking badass. I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
Guarantee you I guess there is no there's no game. They won't have a game next year for this.
Oh, they won't?
They're doing renovations or something, I guess. I'm not sure.
Oh, really? Didn't know
but
that.
It'll be back in 24.
Okay.
But Dodgers will probably be a part of that. They'll have something with Vin Scully. My big thing was just like, as I was negative yesterday, because I'm like, this was a cool, and it was fantastic, by the way. And the lack of a good product on the field didn't take away from all the feels and the cool nostalgia elements that were involved with Reds greats from the past. But it would have been just nice to watch two good quality Cubs Reds teams last night. The Cubs aren't even a good product right now. But I just thought that it was a kind of a letdown as far as the product that was on the field, really, for both teams. I mean, the Cubs have been one of the but one of the best teams in baseball for quite some time now. And then the Reds, who over the last couple of years, at least from a roster standpoint, there was recognizable names and some star power there. And then this is what we got for the Field of Dreams. I was just disappointed in that. But take the product out. It was like Fox kills it with that, man. Like, they'll do the big pan shots of everything. It's only like 4,000 or 5,000 fans. It's not a lot.
Yeah, it's not.
But that's what makes it cool. But I wonder, I didn't read about the renovations. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, in the Facebook page, or we'll take calls in a second. Are the renovations to enhance that? I kind of like the intimacy of it. I hope they don't do too much. I mean, maybe they might make seats, like a bleacher seating that goes up a little bit more and maybe not out to where it takes up more. But I do like the intimacy of it. I think that's what makes that unique. But again, there's dollar signs in the eyes of baseball when it comes to this. And trust me, I'm assuming that's the case, but who knows? Would you go? So if your team, if Cleveland's playing in the next one, are you going to effort to go to this?
That would be pretty cool. It would be cool.
I had no plans of going. I did not want to go, but as we got closer, I was regretting it more and more. But I do know this: if the Reds were better, if they had a better product, I just couldn't pay the ticket price that they were asking for that
How much?
go watch that product. It was $1,500 for the tickets for me and Nora to go. It would have been $1,500.
$1,500,
which that's fine.
That's one ticket for Ohio State Notre Dame, by the way.
Yeah, I know, and that's fine. Like, because I'm like, again, it's the money is more for the experience itself, but the experience itself would have been watered down because of the product. I know I'm being negative. I'm focused on that. But if they had Castellanos, if there was, Tyler Stevenson healthy, if it was just a better product on the field, I definitely would have gone. But I am glad that Nick Lodolo got to shine on that stage. Everyone was watching that game. Nick Lodolo got a chance to shine. Jonathan India, they paid a lot of attention to him, as they should. I think he's the face of that franchise, that train moving forward. So we'll see. But
they
overall,
got to talk to Joey Votto and everything like that.
Always find a way to complain about the mic'd up players. Shouldn't be doing this in a regular season. These are two teams who are going to be sitting down in October with the rest of us. Who cares if they're talking to the first baseman in the middle of a game? Like, why do people get outraged at stuff like that?
I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense.
I think anything baseball can do to get the fan base more involved, they should do. Like, to let us to know these players outside of what they just do on the diamond and everything like that. This helps. You get to learn about Joey Votto if you didn't know before. You talked about the passing of his father, missing his dad in that moment and everything like that. I think that's cool for us as fans to, kind of see these big athletes as just regular guys that can do something very cool.
How about this? John Smoltz, one of my all-time favorite players. I was a huge Braves fan growing up. Loved, watching him and Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine. I loved that, he was the closer. I know he kind of went back and forth, but he was the closer. He was the, intimidating piece that come in at the end after the gem of Glavine or Maddux, of course, with the Braves. But he was doing media hits all day. And then he kind of in the middle of an interview he was doing with Fox with Will Cain, who used to be here on ESPN. In the middle of the interview, he just kind of didn't break down. He just said, my dad died earlier this morning.
Ooh.
He did media hits all day, and nobody knew. He was on The Herd. I watched his interview that he did with The Herd, and like all day, I've been watching him do media hits, listening to him on the ESPN radio all day. And then he kind of broke that out on Fox a little bit later, right before the start of that game. And I'm like, dang, well, that's an emotional day for him. But again, they kept talking about what the game means. It just kind of connects that relationship with the sons and fathers, especially for sons and fathers who share the passion for the game of baseball the way that they do. I thought that John Smoltz story was just fascinating because it was just kind of like it caught everyone by surprise a little bit. 518-1410. Is this Jesse?
Yeah.
We got Jesse back. Thanks for holding, man. How are you?
Okay. Sorry about that. I had a little business call, but you guys were talking about autographs earlier. And,
yeah.
I had something cool happen when I was 10. I'll just tell you the story real quick. I'll be fast.
No, you're good.
But the Chicago Bulls played at UD Arena for a preseason game, and my mom ran the HR at the hotel they were staying at. So I went up and got like Bill Whittington's autograph and Luke Longley. But my mom brought me a steak dinner on a tray and had me follow her upstairs. And my mom knows nothing about sports. So Scottie Pippen comes out into the hallway. My mom walked by Scottie Pippen like he was asking her for $1 at the gas station. So I had a pretty good feeling that we were going to see Michael Jordan. It definitely wasn't going to be Rodman. But we went in, and it was kind of weird. He was watching a John Wayne black and white Western on TV. And I just got cut from a basketball team. So he told me him getting cut in high school. And one of the weird things I saw when I looked up, he gave me like 3 autographs. I looked him up later in life. He signed so many autographs that Michael Jordan's autograph is completely worthless. It's worth nothing.
Yes, I've heard that same thing. I guess it really depends on what he signs for you or whatever. I've heard that as well because I have like some Michael Jordan merch and like it sells for crazy, but you can't sell it for crazy if that makes any sense. Right. But yeah, I mean that's cool. I mean, you met Michael Jordan. I mean, goodness gracious.
Oh yeah, and he couldn't have been nicer. He wasn't in a hurry for me to leave or nothing. He signed whatever I wanted, but. Yeah, I was just sharing that quick little story.
You see, there's a video that went viral of him about a couple weeks ago in a parking garage. And at first I was like, man, MJ comes across looking real like jerkish there. But then when I went back and read the article about it, he wasn't being rude, like declining autographs for the kids. He was like, you're blocking an entrance to a parking garage. Like, that's why he was telling him no. But like, of course, the photographer had to frame it as if he was just being mean to these kids, forget them kids. Like, that's pretty cool. You met MJ. I think that's pretty neat though.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad at the time because I hated Michael Jordan because I always loved underdogs. So I was rooting for the Knicks and the Pacers and the Jazz. But then after I met him, I'm like, damn, this guy's pretty cool. But yeah, you felt like I'm good weekend.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care.
Yep.
518-14. Who's the biggest athlete you've met?
Definitely not Michael Jordan. I'm trying to think. Give me to the break. I have to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, Byers has golfed with Michael Jordan.
Oh, goodness. So people get all the love.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories from Byers is he couldn't wait to introduce his kids to Michael Jordan. He introduced his son to Michael Jordan, and his son said, hey, it's the guy from Space Jam. He's like, Jesus. Let's see. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. And would you look at that? I'm so used to being bad clock management. Okay. I'm so used to going over. I'm like, oh man, we can still chat. We still got some time.
What about you? Who's the most famous person you ever met?
Most famous, I don't know about the most famous, but athlete wise, the one that caught me by the most surprise was when Willis Reed was at NCR a couple years ago. And Willis Reed was sitting out in this rocking chair right outside. I forgot what hole it was right out there when you come out, but I didn't know who he was at the time. I know who Willis Reed is. I didn't know that that's who that was. Just a big old dude sitting there. And I'm like, it's one of those moments where you don't want to say, you play basketball, because that's you'll like this. So it was just one of those where, but I was like, I could tell he was somebody, but I just, I'm sit there and talk. He initiated the conversation. So I was like, okay, I don't have to try to pretend to start a go. And then someone had they'd come by in a golf cart, got out, said, Mr. Reed, will you sign this? I'm like, Reed. Then they were talking Knicks. I'm like, that has to be Willis Reed. I was, I've been sitting here for a half hour talking basketball, talking LeBron, talking MJ, talking all this just awesome NBA stuff with Willis Reed. And then at the time, it was the Kinner and Schlemmer show. We were doing the show at NCR. He said he'd come on for a bit, and he did the full first hour of the show, and I thought we kept him too long. So I said, all right, Willis, thanks so much. It's been an honor having you on the show. This has been great. We go to commercial break, and he kept the headset on, and he sat there the whole time. And me and Schlemmer are looking at each other like, do we just bring him back on? Like, he sat there with us for the next 3 hours.
Nice.
That was cool. Don Donaher walked out. It was really cool because Don Donaher and him embraced for the first time, like they had met, because it was just really cool watching Don Donaher and Willis Reed kind of, meet one another and kind of just, have about a half-hour long conversation just right in front of us as we're doing the show. But it was really neat. I'd say Willis Reed was the coolest one just because I wasn't expecting it. That was like the last. That was that weird fake golf tournament that they promoted. Not NCR. NCR did not do this. They kind of got the bad PR for it. It wasn't their fault. But it was that. Remember, they were promoting MJ was coming to golf in this and Scottie Pippen. I felt horrible.
I remember that.
For NCR because like they took the beating for that, and you know what I mean. Like they do tons of tournaments out there. They're the least shady out there. And yeah, I felt bad for him but that was badass because this the last thing I expected was to run into Willis Reed. So pretty neat.
One time here at the station, as I'm prone to do, just running around here like a chicken with my head cut off, coming down the hallway and talking on the phone. And then boom, there's Kevin Hart. And I do like, what's up, man? Say, hey, what's up? Dapped him up real quick. Kept it moving because it was probably a prize winner at the front desk. So that was cool to,
Forget the prize winner.
Exactly. So, but like he was about to do an interview with Faith. So after I handled that, I came back in there and was like hung out with him and his guys in there while Faith was doing the interview. He was cool. Also met Tommy LaRosa down. This was actually when Neil was still here. We had an event down at the Marriott and he was down there. So I got to meet him. Actually, I got a picture with him. I think I got
pictures, not autographs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I lost my picture with Kevin Hart. I don't know where it is.
See, that's pretty cool. Not a huge name, but Flo Rida came through the station one time.
Yes.
That was pretty close to the time he got kicked out of the Heat game. Remember that? Like,
should have got low.
But that was cool. And this isn't a big name, but it was a big name to me because I'm a huge Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul fan. But Lavelle Crawford came in.
Yeah.
Huel, the real Huel. Huel came in from Better Call Saul, and that dude like could not have been any nicer. Like we talked. I mean, I love Better Call Saul. I love Breaking Bad. It has such a cult following. I'm part of it. We sat here for a good half hour, 45 minutes, just talking about every detail of the show and like everything. Like it was really cool. I enjoyed that part. I thought that was neat. I know I'm missing someone obvious. Like
I met Nelly back when Nelly was like huge
Furtado?
and everything. Right. Nelly the rapper. Met him, former program director at Hot, Craig Black. He used to live in St. Louis, right when Nelly was blowing up and everything like that. And Nelly was actually in Columbus, and they were still cool. And we hung out backstage the entire show. We didn't even go to our seats. We watched the show from backstage, which was real cool. And he was cool. And I was, I had now the wife, but girlfriend at the time. And all I thought to myself was like, man, picked the wrong day to bring you.
But Magic Johnson was out at Central State a couple years ago.
I met Magic Johnson. Now, see, this is what you're good for, Kenner.
I only remember that because I was pissed at you.
Yes, I did meet Magic Johnson.
Oh, I was pissed that day. I was like, everyone's like, oh, I'm mad. Yeah, that's cool. No one told me. Just throwing that out there. No, that was pretty cool. A couple people, anyways. I
forgot about. I didn't get a picture though. He wasn't doing like.
So it didn't happen.
Yeah,
a lot of guys you said you met that there's no picture evidence.
I got a handshake from Magic Johnson. Hey, how you doing? I was like, yeah, I'm from the radio. Oh, really? Okay, yeah, okay, all right, good to meet you, young man.
Ron Howard says, Justin, you need a haircut. You look like Ozzy Osbourne.
Keep it growing. Grow it out until the Ohio State, Michigan game.
Yeah, I don't know really what I have going on up top here, but look, like I said, my dad is bald. All of my friends I graduated high school with are all balding. And there was one I used to just shave. I used to just have a buzz cut all the time. And I'm like, well, that's a disservice to all of my friends who would, who are chasing their hairline right now. So no, I'm just showing it off. I mean, it doesn't look good, but I'm just showing it off. I'm like, it's a full, healthy head of hair.
Keep it.
So there's that. But yeah, once I start balding, I'm in big trouble as far as that's concerned. All right, good stuff. Hour 3 coming up next. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Let me before we go, let me hit the old refresh here. Just see if any update, anything on Deshaun Watson. I mean, it's kind of a boring, quiet afternoon. More videos of Tua Tagovailoa overthrowing receivers and underthrowing. Oh, that was a bad throw. My goodness, Twitter is so fun. Interesting stuff on Twitter. Nothing. All right. Still quiet on that front. So nonetheless, we'll keep an eye out. But the Browns and the Jaguars kick off tonight at 7 o'clock. The Bengals and Cardinals kick off tonight as well. First preseason game. It's preseason. Don't make fun of me for liking preseason. It's NFL football, and that's all I care about. I think it's pretty cool. By the way, the running back from Michigan State last year, who drafted him? I just saw a story earlier today, my ADD, and I cannot remember who it was.
Shaw knows.
The Seahawks.
Shaw knows who drafted him.
I think it's the Seahawks. He is apparently he's killing it in camp. Look out for him to be a breakout star this year. Watch. Well, for one, the Seahawks are going to have to run the hell out of the ball because they don't have legitimate quarterbacks. So I'm excited to see what he does this upcoming year. But all right, ADD, full force. I got to step away. Hour number 3 coming up next. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.